Hello everyone, welcome to Club Live here on Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. We are live on YouTube tonight, so like the video, subscribe to the channel and get yourself involved in the live chat. I am Scott Carney and I'm not on my own, hallelujah. Ali Pearson, how are you?
Not too bad. At least I'm a little bit better than the last Club Live I was on when I was burst hanging at my arse, Carney, trying to host it. So, no, I'm ready for tonight.
Good. Ryan Haymarch, how are you, mate?
I'm good, boys. Good to see you all. Good to see people in the comments. Doesn't feel like a Friday, lads, yet, does it? I'm still, my head's all over the place. Doing a Club Live tonight. I feel as if it's a Wednesday. I'm all over the shop. So, but happy to be here, boys.
Yeah, I'm the same, mate. For kind of 3 days out the way of working, I'm still a bit confused about what day we're on, but I'm happy that I've got another 2 days off now before I need to attack our first week. And second appearance on the podcast, Nicky Oven. Nicky, how are you, mate?
Good, thank you, mate. Glad to be back. Similarly, I've managed to negotiate 3 days, been back at work, having 2 weeks off, so but glad it's a weekend.
Absolutely, yeah. Look, there's a lot to get into tonight, as you would expect, so I'm not really going to hang about. Just a quick plug for the live show. There is still tickets available. The link for the tickets will be in the description for this podcast. Please do come along. There is a limited amount of tickets left. So if you'd like to come see us on the 19th of January at the Loudon, that's where you'll get your tickets. And we hope to see you all there. Very much looking forward to it. Right, we'll start with just quickly, because I'm aware that I was the only one that done the reaction pod on Tuesday after. It's weird even saying that on Tuesday after the Kilmarnock game, when it felt like it's just bizarre, a 3 o'clock kickoff on a Tuesday. But yeah, obviously I was the one that brought the reaction to it. So Ali, a pretty comfortable 3-1 win for Rangers. What was your overall thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I thought it was a very good performance by the Rangers. Me and Mr. Haymarch had a wee text message in the morning, both thought it could be a wee bit of a banana skin because Kilmarnock had been playing well. McInnes has got them well organised. They've been a bogey team for us and them as well this season. So I didn't think it would be as straightforward as it was, Carney, because I think it was. I know it went back to 2-1, but overall I thought Rangers were very good. Moving the ball quick, as we say. Kilmarnock really couldn't live with us, and there was some good performances in there in terms of young McCausland, who I thought it was his best performance in a Rangers jersey for me, and Ryan's Turkish Delight as well, I thought was very good at that left back slot. So no, overall it was all positives for me. And Rangers conceded a penalty, Carney. Who would have thought it?
Who'd have thought it, mate? Who'd have thought it? And it's still not shut anybody up. It's still been a crazy week, but we'll come on to that, of course. Ryan, your overall thoughts on the game on Tuesday?
Yeah. Well, same as you, first and foremost. 3 o'clock on a Tuesday sent me almost over the edge, boys. I'm a man of a creature of habit. And I kept saying to my dad, I cannot get my head around this 3 o'clock kickoff here. I thought it was, I agree with Ali, I thought it was a very positive performance from Rangers. Again, just a kind of marquee stamp on Clement's reign. It was literally what you expect for his team. Bodies getting forward, different kind of flow to the team in terms of if you remember, Yilmaz was kind of coming inside. It was a kind of left centre mid, would you maybe call it? Bodies flooding forward in the second half, just going for the win, going for goals. Carney, it's what you want to see. I think we wasted a lot of balls, which is what we do a lot. But it was a positive performance, and yeah, me and Ali texted him all, and I said I don't have a great feeling about this today because I know McInnes sets his team up well. He put that big guy, the big tall lad, at the back. He put him on Seaman. I think he kind of did a not bad job on him. McCausland, for me, in the first half, he wasn't great, but what a finish, and he just kicked on from there. And for me, these are the games I bang on about, but young players need to be given a chance to make mistakes and have halves or have bad games. Let them kick on, then they'll score goals and get their confidence up. And I think that game on Saturday Saturday, there you go, default. On Tuesday will be worth its weight in gold for McCausland because he was allowed to make his mistakes. He's allowed to have his dip in form, and he kept taking the man on and not getting past him, but got his goal. And I agree with Ali, a solid performance. And yes, who would have thought it, Mr. Yilmaz? We run a games. He's your left back, boys.
We'll come to him later in the show, mate. We'll definitely come to him later in the show. Nicky, Ryan made a point there as well. It's probably we're probably beginning to see a kind of blueprint of what we expect to see under Clermont in games. And I think Tuesday did highlight that, but 3 really well taken goals as well, really well worked goals.
Oh, 100%, mate. I think in hindsight, it was comfortable, right? Similar to Ali and Ryan. I did have a bit of anxiety prior to the game. I think I'd echo what they said about McInnes. He's obviously had a result against us already this season. He's had 2 really strong results against Celtic, as well as other teams. But we have seen previously this squad can often allow one bad result to turn into 2 and 3. And I think one of the things I will say is Clermont and this squad have done a brilliant job to start to shift momentum. Momentum shifts quick in Glasgow. Over the last 2 or 3 months, I think he has started to shift the dial. We took a wee bit of a bump at Celtic Park. They've kind of got a wee bit of a bump off that. But I think very quickly, if that had turned into a draw or drop points again, I think very quickly that momentum would swing away from us. But no, I think in hindsight, 3 really good goals. I think the thing that was the best for me, Scott, was the penalty setback within 3 minutes with the 2-goal cushion again, right on the pedal, back up the park. Ridvan was brilliant, great, lovely ball across. Cantwell added numbers as well. He's come in for a wee bit of criticism after the Celtic game and maybe not having as much numbers as you'd like, but in hindsight, really good result, and I think it keeps the feel-good factor going into the winter break as well.
Yeah, it was important to bounce back, obviously after the disappointment of Saturday, and I thought the team did themselves justice, so I really do. And I agree. I think the most pleasing thing for me was there wasn't this heads down, feel sorry for ourselves after the Kilmarnock scored the goal. We kicked on, and we as soon as we scored the third, it took the wind right out of Kilmarnock's sails. They knew they weren't going to be able to pull back 2, never mind 3 goals in order to win the game. And yeah, I thought it was a rather comfortable win and really pleasing. It was nice to leave Ibrox thinking, right, we're going into the winter break now. And yes, Saturday was disappointment, but what I seen on Tuesday was very much acceptable, and you can see the tactics, the movement, the philosophy of Clermont coming on to the players now. And I say in all 3 goals were superb, and Seamus was a absolute screamer. It was even better when I seen it back in the telly. I was like, how did he do that? And of course the Moonhowlers are saying it's a handball. Of course they are. Anyway, talking about handballs, we'll move on, gentlemen, because there's obviously the biggest thing to come out really in the past couple of days is the Rangers v the SFA round 2. Now, there's a lot for me to read here, so I do understand that, but I just think it's important for all to be read before we obviously have our say on it. So Rangers did ask for the audio. It was declined until the meeting happened on Wednesday. After the meeting, Rangers released via fan media Heart and Hand the following statement. From the meeting, there was an overriding consensus the VAR decision of no handball was incorrect. Having listened to the audio, there is no mention of a potential offside at the time of the handball decision. Rangers was also deeply concerned at the haste at which the erroneous no handball call was made. Rangers has appealed to the Scottish FA to release the audio and explain the decision and future contentious decisions involving all clubs to the public, as would be common practice in England for such a decision. The club made a number of specific requests, and it hopes the Scottish FA will respond in order to improve matters going forward. One of these said requests was rumoured to be that Willie Collum, Rangers have requested Willie Collum is not involved in any capacity for any Rangers game going forward. The SFA disputed Rangers' take on the meeting, and they released the following pretty shambolic statement. I'm not going to lie, and you'll probably get where the tone of this, the rest of this segment's going to go anyway, but their statement read, the Scottish FA is disappointed by contents of the most recent statement issued by Rangers in relation to a match incident during the club's recent Premiership fixture against Celtic. Chief Executive James Bisgrove and Director of Football Operations Craig Robertson attended a private briefing with the Head of Referee Operations Crawford Allen to review the incident in question, including the use of matchday audio. We understood from the Chief Executive that the meeting had been constructive and informative and conducted amicably. This does not appear to be reflected in the club's statement. During the meeting, it was pointed out that the incident in question was a subjective handball and that VAR did not deem it sufficiently clear and obvious error to refer to an on-field review. Furthermore, the offside would not have been mentioned at the time, as it's not part of the VAR's decision-making on the handball. It was highlighted within Clydesdale's house that had the VAR considered the incident to be a handball offence and asked the referee to carry out an on-field review. The attacking phase of play would have been checked and offside would have been identified. This supplementary information was relayed to broadcasters in-game, and we are reviewing the process of information dispresentation to avoid any perceived ambiguity in the future. There was an overall consensus that the incident could not have led to a penalty kick being awarded in any event, and that there was no impact on the final outcome of the match. Scotland's VAR protocol, I'm going to miss that bit out, it's a lot of nonsense. And since the one bit that I think we're probably most interested in was, finally we note posts from a recent official media partner of the clubs detailing requests from the private meeting were immediately rejected. We would ask that the club representatives show greater responsibility in such matters, especially in the context of recent incidents in European football that have compromised the safety of match officials and led to widespread condemnation. Now, before we go any further, I want to say, just to clear things up, that we all know it's not a penalty. We all know that a penalty wouldn't have been awarded. I completely understand that. Now, based on how the process would have happened, it would never have been a penalty. So, as I say, before I go any further, I don't want that to be kind of misconstrued as we're trying to say that it should have been and Rangers should have been awarded a penalty. And I still don't think it was the cause of Rangers losing the game. But anyway, the issue is the offside being released 30 minutes after the decision was made by Colm, and not when Colm didn't clearly see that the incident was a handball. And in Rangers' words, the haste of the no penalty call when it was made. The big concern is the motivation behind the release of the offside images and when they felt it wasn't a penalty subjectively. I don't know why they bother checking the offside. I don't know whose decision that was to make, but I think you can clearly see why Rangers are pretty upset about this, and I think it is very much just the next round, and there'll be plenty of rounds more to go. Ryan, I'll come to you first on this. What's your take on all this and these seemingly conflicting statements from the SFA and from Rangers?
Not surprised, Carney. It's just the inconsistency from them first and foremost. It's been there throughout. I think you look at Willie Collum, we could highlight so many. I've seen a few on social media since the game about the Candace one. Nobody's saying, well, certainly none of us, I don't believe are saying that Willie Collum is a Celtic fan or he's anti-Rangers. He's just a terrible, terrible referee, Carney. And he always has been. Let's not forget, he gave us a penalty about 10 years ago at Celtic Park and he was facing the other way. He was facing the other way when Cut Broadfoot fell down in the box and he heard contact and gave us a penalty. Was it a penalty? Probably not, Carney, but that's the kind of referee you're dealing with. He's not consistent. He's a poor referee and he's been in the top flight for circa, 10, 15 years, something like that. The statement for the SFA is frustrating. They're saying they're disappointed. How do you think we feel? The thing that kind of annoys me most, and we've all been the same, we didn't watch the game together. I certainly didn't watch it with you lads, but when they came out with that in the second half and they said, oh, by the way, the decision in the first half, and we've been told it was offside, it stinks a cover-up. That is absolutely stinks a cover-up. It stinks of someone who has done something wrong or try to backtrack. If they hadn't done that and then it could come out after the game, then maybe. But the fact that the point had been made, get that over in the second half, make sure that's said in air that it was actually an offside, just stinks a cover-up. No, it wasn't a penalty because, yeah, it probably was offside. I've not seen enough angles or lines or whatever they're going to do to show us it was offside. So it probably was offside, so that's fine. And it wasn't a penalty, but it's just so unprofessional for a footballing association to carry this with their work out the way they do. And we moan about ref. We've been on game podcasts before, Carney, where we're winning 3 or 4-0, and we've actually started with we need to talk about a referee today. So this isn't just when we lose. It's a frustration we've all got with referees, and it's so unprofessional the way they've dealt with it from start to finish. Release the audio, put your hands up and say a mistake was made, and we'll look into it, whether it's Willie Collum being demoted or whatever. Willie Collum's time is well up as a referee, by the way, and I will say that, well up as a top-flight referee. It has been for years, but they don't want to do that, the SFA. They've got this bit where Rangers will know because we've challenged them on things, and it's a never-ending saga, and yeah, so we have to go on with it. For me, mate, it needs to be... I don't agree with Willie Collum not refereeing Rangers games. If he's still a top flight referee, get him to Ibrox. That's what I say. Get him to Ibrox. I want to see him at Ibrox. I don't agree with it not refereeing Rangers games. We can't pick and choose who referees. It's just we have terrible officials in this country, and who runs them are as equally as bad.
Nicky, I think the biggest thing that annoys me about the statement being released is, again, I'm cautious of me sounding like I'm in howler. There's one club in this country that has consistently released stuff about officials. They've spoke about it at AGMs. They've released a full feature-length film about the conspiracy that is against them, and not one peep came out of the SFA from this. Rangers have went in my opinion, blue tinted glasses like if you're not, I've pointed out a blatant mistake and an incorrect way of approaching the matter as well. It isn't that it was offside. It isn't that it is mostly because Willie Collum quickly said that wasn't a handball, which is ridiculous. I mean, absolutely ridiculous because it was. But it is the stink of the cover up that's coming around it. The SFA are basically saying, this is big bad Rangers. Everybody look at what big bad Rangers are doing. And if anything, it's the statement they've released is it's shambolic because it's incorrect in many ways.
No, listen, you've taken the words right out of my mouth, mate. The one word I was going to use is just shambles, right? The whole thing is just an utter shambles. I would probably agree with both of you. I don't buy into conspiracy theories and refs are against Rangers, right? I just think that the vast majority of officials in this country are just really, really bad at officiating football games. This does stink of a cover-up, right? Hypothetically, Willie Collum has made a complete mess of this decision. How he can deem that not a handball is beyond me, right? Obviously, we didn't have the luxury watching the game on the TV of the offside and the build-up. None of us spotted that, right? Every single person thought in any era of football that is a penalty kick, right? You think about the rules about natural position of the arm and ball to hand or hand to ball, right? There is no way that is natural. He literally moves his hand towards the ball, right? So how Willie Collum can deem that to not be a handball and not even ask Nick Walsh to come for a second viewing of it is beyond me. And yeah, listen, I would completely agree. What has then happened is they went to the studio. Everybody is in agreement that this is a penalty. He's probably heard from his other officials that you've made a bit of an arse of this. The outside noise is getting heavier and heavier. And he's done what all humans do, right? They go and they look for some way of relieving themselves that actually they've made the right decision, because to release that 30, 40 minutes later, and the best bit about all this, right, is the fact Ian Crocker threw him under the bus, because it was Crocker who turned around and said it would have been good if we'd heard this at the time, right? So it's the fact that he's thrown him out from throwing him under the bus. But the whole thing's just mad, right? Because how's he giving a goal kick? Do you know what I mean? If he's said that, listen, he has handballed it, but he thinks it's a natural movement, then surely it's a corner. And likewise, if it's an offside, then surely it's a free kick from where the offside was. So, no, listen, in one word, utter shambles. And I expect this to drag on for a while, because Rangers, I don't think, are going to let it lie. And like you say, the SFA will be thinking, big bad Rangers, we will do whatever we can to stop them getting the outcome that they're looking for.
Yeah, that's the way it feels. That's the way it feels to me. And I think, in the one that you're saying about why was it not a corner, I don't think VAR can then decide that it is a corner. But if the decision was made correctly and the process was correct, or the process that the SFA want you to believe that it is, then it would have been a free kick for offside. But Collum didn't make the decision to say that it was handball. And the bit that stood out for me in the Rangers statement was the haste that he done it at. He must have just went, that's not a handball. Immediately just said, that's not a handball. How are you seeing that? What are you seeing? That's just pure peer pressure, and he crumbled under it, and he's made a hood and arse of it. That's for absolute sure. Ali, I think there's a simple way for the SFA to really kill any sort of argument Rangers might have, and that's release the audio.
Well, that's what they do in England.
But they won't do it. They won't.
No, they won't do it. No, they won't. You think they would after coming back at Rangers and saying, well, we didn't say that, so we'll prove it. There's not much more I can say than the two guys. It's an utter shambles, Carney. Column. I mean, it goes back to weeks and weeks and weeks building up to this. Old Firm were here and Rangers don't get penalties against them, don't get this. There's the usual pressure on these officials going into these games. But the thing that annoys me more is he didn't think it was a penalty, Carney. See if he went, it's a handball, it's a penalty, then VAR checks for the offside after that. And then if it was offside, we go, fair enough, it's offside, we move on. But it's the fact that he's went instantly, which we've heard for Rangers going, it's not a penalty. If you've got Neil Lennon and you've got James McFadden sitting in the Sky Sports studio going, that's a penalty, I'd be raging if that was given against us, then God, it's a stone waller. It's it's just all. I mean, we're going on a bit more time. Us here, and then Ryan talks a bit more time. These referees, the standard's shocking, Carney. I don't know what you do going forward with it, but there is big pressure on these referees, in particular on Old Firms, because if they give the wrong decision against certain teams, you know the backlash they get from it. So there's huge pressure. What you do going forward, I don't know. I've heard all sorts of stuff in terms of, do you bring in referees from out with Scottish football? But what would that make Scottish football look like if you start going down that route? And you can't. I don't agree with Rangers saying they don't want Willie Collum to referee or be involved in any Rangers games for. I agree with Ryan. I don't think he can get down that route and picking and choosing referees. But overall, for me, shambles, a circus, and how bad does it look in Scottish football? That games are Premier game up here on Sky Sports. That's the big game Sky want up here, and it's a shambles. Down in England, they must be laughing their head off up here, going, "What the hell's going on up there?" But yes, I'm not surprised, Carney, because we're used to it up here. So it's not a shock, and it doesn't just happen against Rangers. I mean, I've seen one against Hearts. The other week as well. They get an absolute shocking one against them as well. So it's not just us; it's other teams in the league. But it's the standard of the refereeing, Carney. That's what it is. Just not good enough.
No, it's just not good enough at all. And before I move on to away from it as well, is the bit about the statement as well about basically because they released it via Heart and Hand, and Heart and Hand released the statement, not the statement, but the thought behind Rangers asking for Willie Collum not to be involved in Rangers games. I think that's more so just to identify and to try and hammer home that Willie Collum should be removed from his position, because I don't think he can continue, not after this. He can't really be taken seriously after this going forward. But they then say that we're basically inciting riots onto referees as well with this comment at the bottom. And that to me is, all you're trying to do there is completely whitewash the issue that's happening here and just point the finger at Rangers, which isn't right. It's not correct. The SFA really should know better than to do something like that, and they've made a bit of a mess of themselves. They really have. I think if they really wanted to, they could address this situation properly. We could all have a sit down, the whole of Scottish football as a whole. And even when they said it's only been in Scotland for a year, that's your fault that it's only been here for a year. It's nobody else's fault. You had plenty of opportunity to get it into Scotland before and you chose not to. Just like we don't have full-time refs in Scotland. And that's probably where the issue lies at the start. You need full-time referees in this country, you really do. But it needs scrap from top to bottom, and it needs started again. It really does. I mean, in terms of the officiating in this country, because I don't see this one letting to lie anytime soon. I think it's going to continue on and on and on. So a very interesting situation to be involved in. But for the sake of Scottish football, I don't think anybody in Scottish football can agree that Willie Collum can continue on as an official. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't manage Rangers games, but there's nobody that's going to be able to say that he can continue on, because he can't. It's time for him to be removed from his position for sure. Before we go any further, I'll do Ali's favourite part of the show, and I will do a word from our sponsors. So cheers to the new year from our friends at Manscaped. Because your resolutions shouldn't be the only things that are well kept, 2024 is time for new heights, new opportunities, and a new look for your balls. Manscaped's Lawnmower 5.0 is every man's cheat code to look good, feel good, and turn the page on confidence this year. Whether you're looking to maintain a trim or go for that clean-shaven look, this trimmer has you covered. Trusted by 10 million men worldwide, now is your time to get a grip on your grooming with our exclusive offer. go to manscaped.com, use the code CLUB@22 for 20% off and free shipping. Happy New Year, or Happy New Balls. Introducing the Manscaped's 5th generation lawnmower. It's not just a trimmer, it's your grooming sidekick. Equipped with 2 skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little off the top, and a new foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. It's like having a personal stylist at your fingertips, or, well, wherever you need it, really, I suppose. And for men who want the full grooming experience, look no further than the Performance Package 5.0. In this grooming kit, you'll get the trusted lawnmower, Manscaped ears and no hair trimmer, essential aftercare products, and the Crop Soother Ball Aftershave, and the Crop Preserver Anti-Chafing Ball Deodorant. Yes, it's deodorant for your balls. Bet you didn't think you needed that. I didn't think I needed that, but no, I can't say I will ever go back now that I've started using it. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code CLUB@22 at manscaped.com, because nothing says Happy New Year like a deal that leaves your balls and your budget feeling refreshed. Embrace a new you, and definitely embrace a new trimmer, courtesy of Manscaped. Thank you very much to Manscaped for their continued support. If you use our code on their website, you're supporting this podcast. And if you want a chance to win one just for the price of a raffle ticket, you get a whole kit of it, then come to our live show and you'll be able to have a chance of winning it. But no, thank you very much to Manscaped for that. Next on the agenda tonight is the statement released by Rangers regarding the seating arrangements and the singing section, if you like, for season 24-25. Again, apologies with the statement. Following a significant period of consultation with supporters and numerous stakeholders, Rangers FC can now announce new seating arrangements within Ibrox Stadium effective of the season 24-25. As has been the club's long-term ambition, a number of new accessible viewing positions are to be added at the rear of the Copeland front, increasing our overall wheelchair accessible spaces to 153, the highest of any stadium in the Scottish Premiership. Additionally, following the trials earlier in the season and to further support and men's first team player feedback, the club will introduce an expanded singing section within the Copeland front. The Ibrox atmosphere is renowned the world over, and the club are committed to enhancing that even further to ensure our famous home remains one of the most iconic venues. It does go on to discuss how people that are affected by it will get first dibs at various seats, and there will be a chance to sit together. There will be a chance to sit together. So, Nicky, I'm going to come to you first. There's going to be a dedicated in-person meeting for those that are affected by it. That's going to be held on the Monday, the 12th of February. It's easy for me to say this because it's not affecting me, but I think this is a good thing, and I do think the club are doing everything that they possibly can to accommodate those that are being disrupted.
Yeah, agreed, mate. I think you can kind of look. There's probably two things. I think, firstly, the club appear to have done their due diligence with this. Right, they have ran the trials for various games with moving the singing section, the kind of Union Bears. It sounds as though it has been very well received. It sounds as though they have reached out to supporters, they've reached out to the squad, the management team, and it sounds as though there is overwhelming favour for this move to happen, right? I think I've seen results north of kind of 90%, right? So the club have definitely done their due diligence, I think, behind making the change. On the flip, listen, likewise, you have to feel a bit of empathy for those that are impacted by it. There will be numerous fans who have had these season tickets and seats for a number of years. They potentially have emotional ties to these seats. But listen, it sounds as though they've done all the kind of background to it. There is overwhelming support to make this change. And it sounds as though the club can benefit with making this change. And listen, collectively, that's what we're all looking for, right? Is success from Rangers. So I can see it from both sides. But likewise, I think if the squad and the supporters are in favour of doing this, then it can only be a good thing for the club moving forward, I think.
Ali, I'm agreement. I think anything to improve the atmosphere. Not that I think it's particularly bad, but you know what it's like sometimes at the kind of run-of-the-mill games. If it wasn't for the UB, it would be quiet, and I think we all admit that. But to move them there, I think it's much more of a spectacle. I think that's probably just a kind of a bonus of moving them to there. But I believe that it's going to increase the singing section because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of people that want to be there. There's a lot of people that want to be involved in that. I do have to feel sorry for people. I wouldn't be particularly pleased, I'll be honest, if it was me that was getting moved. My seat, I love my seat, and you do have a weird emotional attachment to where you sit. I don't know what it is, but you're probably the stickler for that, mate, because even if I've got a whole row next to me, you'll not come sit next to me. But what's your take on this, mate? What's your take on the move? And the way the club have handled it as well?
I think they've handled it well, to be honest. They've been trialling this stuff, Carney, this beginning of the season, moving the Union Bears about. I think they're better where they're going to put them behind the goal in the Copeland. I think the Broomloan stuck in the corner. They're out the way a wee bit down there for me. If they're behind the goal, it will look better. It'll look better in the telly as well, Carney. It'll better atmosphere. They want to grow that area as well. You're never going to win, Carney, with it at all, because like you say, you've got guys that have sat there for 20, 30, 40 years, same group of guys round about them. I'm the same as you, Carney. If I was told to move from us, I wouldn't be overly chuffed about it. But they're trying to improve the atmosphere at Ibrox. That's the ultimate goal for it. And these guys will be moved, and they have said they can move them to areas of the ground still to sit with their friends and families. So they'll try and accommodate them as best as possible. And the wheelchair access as well, which will be really good for them because they've had a terrible position at Ibrox over the years. So it'll be really good for them. But I think it's positives, Carney. They've discussed this for a while. They've asked the players as well about it in terms of what do they prefer to. So no, I think it'll be good. I mean, selfishly, because I'm closer to the Copeland, I'll enjoy it because you'll have more noise coming. But it's a shame for these guys
to drown out your screaming.
Aye, Ryan can hear me for that government front. It's a shame for these guys that are moving because I'd be the exact same as them. But for the overall greater of Ibrox in terms of the support, in terms of the crowd and the noise, etc., I think it'll benefit Rangers going forward. But you can never, when you do these things, Carney, you're never going to please everyone. There's nothing you can do. I mean, it's like my Gers, Carney. We have discussion in my Gers in terms of away tickets and all that. You're never going to have something that keeps everyone 100% happy. And this is another similar type thing. But I think overall it'll be a benefit.
Yeah, I agree, Ryan. As well, there's a lot of people will always say that obviously we expand Ibrox, we should fill in the corners. It's not just as easy as doing that. Like it would take huge amounts of money to do something like that. It really would, because you're reconstructing that whole corner pretty much. I, for one, would love as many people into Ibrox as possible. I think you could fill it for another half over at least for really big matches. I think you could easily get 75,000 in there, no bother. But I think the club they are doing this the right way, and at the end of the day, they're doing their best to increase the capacity of the stadium, as well as doing the right thing for the disabled accessibility, for better views for them, not to be sat out in the rain like they have been for so many years, because they sit right down in front of the main stand. There's no real any protection for them. It is unfortunate for those that are going to be moved. I do understand that, but with a survey coming back of 90% plus, I think the most of people are for this idea.
Yeah, they've asked the fans their opinion on this one. They've not just went and made the decision and said, right, that's where they're moving to. We're not interested in what you think. This is happening. That's it. The board, whether we like what they've done on the park or how they've invested or who they've appointed as manager, in terms of off the field stuff, Carney, they're pretty spotless for me. I'm so impressed with them off the field. If you'd be overcritical, you'd maybe say, was building Edmondson House the right time for us to do that? Could we use that money on the field to kind of put our stamp on being number one again? You're picking away there because Edmondson House is an investment for the future, and it'll make money for years. But in terms of the pitch, they're always asking for an opinion. They're always putting surveys out after every game. I genuinely believe after being at that fan forum, there are people picking these up. There are people listening to what we've got to say, what we want. As you say, 90%, as the boys have both said, you're not going to please everyone. I do wholeheartedly sympathise with fans who are a bit aggrieved that they're having to move seats. But Rangers move on. Rangers will be here when we're gone. Rangers have moved on from the days of just fans turning up. You now have this kind of ultra, whatever you want to call it, side of fans that go to all the games. They try to create an atmosphere. Their displays are absolutely fantastic. Love seeing them. And I'm all for it. Like I say, there's always that kind of caveat that you sympathise with the fans that can move, but I'm all for the Union Bears being behind the goal. The only thing I'm going to have to adjust to myself to is the drum. The drum constantly. I am definitely turning 40 soon because the drum, I can't get my head around. It just annoys me every game I'm at it. It's going to be a lot closer to me, but at least Tavernier might not hear me shout any longer.
Possibly. Also, a comment's been made there about best about safe standing to get Bears in front of the Copeland Road stand. I think that's probably going to be in the pipeline. I'm not going to lie. I would imagine they're going to look at safe standing there because you increase the capacity there even more. Not by an awful lot, but I know they become almost 3/4 size seats, not full seats, if you like. So there'll be maybe at the end of every row there might be another 2, or however that works out, however the maths of that works out. So I think that's probably what they'll be looking towards. But no, as I say, I do feel for the ones that have been moved, but I think anything to improve the overall atmosphere at Ibrox and to help improve what's already a pretty amazing atmosphere, I'm all for it. I generally am all for it, and I'm looking forward to seeing it going forward. There was only ever going to be one place it was going to be, and it was going to be the Copeland front. It was never going to be anywhere else. So I can get why it's been done. I also think it opens up the opportunity for Rangers and Celtic as well to open up discussions about away fans in, because you have the Ultra group, if you like, or the Union Bears or whatever, basically the other side of the stadium. It could open up the European allocation. Not that I think that's really a massive effect, but they're quite heavily, not policed, but they're quite heavily marshalled, if that makes sense, the singing section. So you can kind of, I'm thinking of hopefully the long term that it opens up conversations for that as well, and we can start getting fans back into old firms, but we'll see. But no, I think the club have handled it well, and probably credit to them, credit to the board for the way that they've managed that. It's not often we've done that in this podcast, is it, giving credit to the board? But no, I think they have. I think they've managed it very well. We'll move on to a few transfer ins and outs, contracts, etc. That one of the ones was this week was this kind of strong rumour that Lundstrom's going to get offered a new deal. Clement seems to trust him as a leader on the park and seems to really like him. Ali, what's your take on John Lundstrom? He's clearly been an improvement under Clement. There's no doubt about it that he's got better. Does he deserve a new contract?
Oh, beginning of the season, I was one for getting John Lundstrom out of the club, along with probably quite a lot of other people. Under Clement, he's probably one of the most improved for me, Carney. Moving the ball a lot quicker. Yeah, he's a key guy for me in the middle of the park. Well, we were all going into that old firm going, I wish John Lundstrom was going to be there. And he did appear. What is he, 30 now? Or just turned 30, Lundstrom? He's on a big wage at Rangers. Depends what John Lundstrom wants, Carney, because I don't think Rangers will offer him. I think at most Rangers would offer him a 2-year deal, probably. And I don't know what wage he's on, but I'd imagine he's on the top bracket of earners. So depends what Rangers want to go in at his age. But he said he wants to sign for Rangers. If it was me personally, Carney, the way he's playing at the moment, I'd give him a 2-year deal. I don't know his wage that he's on. I don't know what he's on. Do you let him go and reinvest those wages in somebody else, maybe somebody younger? That's the argument to it. But beginning of the season, I wouldn't offer him a contract. But he's changed my mind since Clement's come in. I think Clement likes him as well. He sees him as a leader in the group, Carney. We need leaders in the park, so he's one of them. So for me, yes, I'd offer him a 2-year deal.
Yeah, I think, look, a contract for Rangers to give out, Lundstrom's going to be on a decent wage. There's no doubt about it. He's didn't come up here for buttons. He's going to be on a decent wage. I would probably be looking at reducing the wage to an extent, but you obviously don't want to insult the guy either. I think Lundstrom's made it clear that he would like to stay here. He would like to stay. Thank you very much, Cammy, for buying a ticket to the live pod. Very much appreciated. Thanks very much. I think he would be happy enough to stay here, but it's going to need to fit him as well. Ryan, your thoughts on this? Is it reduced terms? Does he deserve a year with an option of a year, 2 years with an option of a third? What's your thoughts on it?
I'm going to be harsh here, boys. I'm going to say I'd let him go. John Lundstrom, I'll always think of the European performances and what he did that year. I always think of that. But in terms of us going forward, no, for me. I know he's on big money. I'm pretty sure. I don't want to use the word source, but I'm pretty sure he's on 30 grand a week, is what I've heard. If that's the case, then that can be used elsewhere. He's improved under Clement. I don't want to be too critical and bring a negative to the pod. He's improved under Clement, he has, and he loves the club. But Rangers need to start stepping forward for me, and midfield's a big thing for me. Like when we think of Ryan Jack, what he's contributing to the midfield over the course of the season, John Lundstrom turning up 10, 15 games maybe a season. No, I'm sorry, I know it sounds harsh, but I would definitely let him go, and I would thank him for his services.
Yeah, it's I can get where you're coming from, because it's not too long ago.
I know it's harsh.
I know, I was saying the same thing though. You're thinking, is he part of this old guard now? Is he part of the scar tissue, the players with baggage that I was speaking about after the old firm? And potentially yes. However, he's never injured. He's always there. He's always playing. And under Clement, he's definitely improved. So it's one of the ones that I'm looking at and going, do we? I think it's a catch-22. I think we're damned if we do and damned if we don't. I really am. I just think it would cost to get somebody in that would be able to do what he's doing for us just now. Would it be worth just sticking with what we have? I say I'm kind of on the fence, but I'd probably more lean towards at least a year's extension to see if he can keep his form going into next year as well.
If I was guessing, Carney, Clement, I agree with Ali. Clement really likes him. He trusts him.
He does.
So on that basis, I would imagine Rangers are trying to strike a deal with him.
Yeah, I think so too. It seems that way. Nicky, what's your thoughts on Lundstrom?
Listen, I get there is a lot of noise at the minute about people just wanting to strip this squad, right? Clement's come in kind of halfway through a season. I've seen a lot of visuals of the squad and people going keep bin, and kind of working out 15 and 16 bodies leaving, right? In reality, it's just not going to happen. I do think there needs to be a core that we keep. I almost think that we have a bit of a decision to make between Lundstrom and Jack for the end of the season. I think both their contracts come out, but like Ali said, I'd be very interested to know what a new contract looks like. Is it a rolling contract similar to what we've done with Jack and what we've done with Arfield towards the end of his career at Rangers? Is it a longer deal? Is it reduced terms? One of the things, and I think I can't remember who it was that mentioned it, but one of the elements that I've mentioned a lot recently is our transfer strategy. We need to look at the robustness of players, right? The last 2 years, we have been absolutely murdered with injuries, right? And likewise, Lundstrom has been here about 2.5 years, with the exception of that horror tackle at St Johnstone where he's missed a game. I can't really remember him being unavailable. For 2.5 years at 28, 29, 30, I can't really recall him being unavailable. We kind of know what we get with Lundstrom. We do get these kind of purple patches with the European run. We've obviously had Clement coming in. Will Clement allow him to drop to some of the levels that we've seen under Gio latterly and Michael Beale at times? Maybe not. I think if it's a decision between Lundstrom and Jack, I offer Lundstrom the deal, and I thank Jack. And I know you're a fanboy, Scott. Likewise, I am also a fanboy of Ryan Jack, but when you only play 10 and 15 games a year out of 40, 50, you're no use to us, right? We need people who are going to play 30, 40, 50 games and be available week in, week out. I think moving forward, you've kind of got those two centre mid positions. If you keep Lundstrom, you have Raskin, you have Sterling, who's your kind of utility. I would like us to go into the market for another centre mid. There's talk about this Brighton boy who's with Standard Liège. You've also got Bailey Rice, who's the understudy. I do think you need 4 or 5 quality centre mids to fill those two positions. So I think in short, yes, Lundstrom, I would offer him a deal, but I think it depends on what that deal consists of in terms of length of time as well as the contract as well.
Yeah, spot on, mate. Yeah, I'd pretty much agree with that. And look, again, if it's an option, Ryan Jack's one he kind of falls into the bucket with Kemar Roof. He's not as deep into the bucket as Kemar Roof is, because you can't even see Kemar Roof. He's that far down the bucket. But Ryan Jack, it's time for him to move on. Unfortunately, he can't be relied on enough. It pains me to say it. I thank him for his service. Of course he has. I think he's been great for us. But we need consistency, and we need fit players. We really do. And it's as simple as that. There's just, all of a sudden, Jack got injured and he's just disappeared. There's been no chat of him. There's nothing really in about him. And it's a consistent theme that keeps happening. I don't think you could ever, we've had this discussion before, you can never say to a player it's Rangers or Scotland, because I don't think that's particularly fair. But as a fan, I would be saying that to him. I'd be saying it's Rangers or Scotland. Do you know what I mean? It's where do you want to be? Because the Scotland playing for Scotland isn't going to help. But with the Euros coming up, he's going to want to try and get fit, make an appearance, so he gets called up for the squad to go there. So, yeah, Lundstrom ones, I think it'll split opinion amongst support. But I would be, we'll wait and see the outcome. We'll wait and see what happens. I've left this one to last because it's probably going to break Ryan's heart. Well, maybe not. It depends what way things fall here. But there's been strong rumours of Ridvan been linked with a move to Verona. Obviously, it's speculation at best, but there's a report that Clement's pretty much a fan, or he's quite a big fan of Josh Doig, used to play for Hibs. Ryan, I'm going to come to you first. What's your thoughts on this with Yilmaz, if it was to be a direct swap for Josh Doig, or if Rangers got a bid for Yilmaz that matched what we paid for him, would you be keeping him? Would you be letting him go? Does it all depend who the replacement would be, etc.?
Well, first and foremost, I'd be submitting a month's compassionate leave in with you. I think if he left Rangers, it'd be very Rangers for somebody to start playing well and we'll get rid of him.
Yes.
We all know how I feel about Yilmaz. I think he's a good player. I think he's very forward positive with attacking play. I think he could definitely be better defensively. Sometimes his composure's not there. But I think we've got a player. I genuinely do think we've got a player that I'm not just thinking about Borna Barisic. I genuinely think Ridvan's got a future at Rangers if he stays. I know he's not everyone's cup of tea. Josh Doig, I liked him when he was at Hibs. I thought he was a good player. He was a player that I wouldn't have minded coming to Rangers at the time. And if Clement fancies him, so be it. If he thinks that he could come here and do a good job, then bring him in. But I would just be disappointed to let this young boy go. But the thing is, with Yilmaz, like, how much did we buy him for? 4.5, 5.5, something like that. It was
$5 million, yeah.
It felt a ludicrous sign at the time. He is another one who will not be on shy money. He'll be on a decent amount, I would imagine, if he's came for that transfer fee. And I think there's some sort of clause as well, or some sort of instalment as well. What I've heard with Besiktas that they would maybe have to cough up as well. If he's not in Clement's plans, then yeah, this is the time. He's a kind of an asset, if you want to call it, to move on and bring somebody in who's going to be long term. And if it's Josh Doig, then I'll take him. If I had my pick, Carney, I would actually go for the boy Cochrane at Hearts. If Ridvan was leaving, I would go for the boy Cochrane. I like him. I think he's composed. I think he's got a bit of swagger about him. And he can take a corner kick as well, which we don't seem to have anyone who can take a corner kick at the moment, if anyone's noticed. So I would definitely have... That's where my heart would be first, keep Yilmaz. If not, I would go for the boy Cochrane. But I'd be open to Doige as well. If Clement fancies Doige, then I'm behind him.
Yeah, Nicky, obviously, I think there's not really any doubt that the Kilmarnock game we've seen the best in Yilmaz. I thought it was very interesting, the positions he was picking up kind of inside, being an kind of inverted fullback, if you like, at times. Check me out, all my technical knowledge. But I think it's maybe came at the right time for him and for fans. That I think when we seen how good he played on Wednesday and Tuesday, we've all kind of went, oh, hang on, maybe we shouldn't be looking for a left back. Maybe there is something here. Maybe there is something that we can do. Because especially with Lundstrom dropping into the back to offer protection when Yilmaz is kind of breaking forward, it did seem to work. I get it was the first time we've seen it, and I get it was against Kilmarnock, but It's an interesting one for me. I've always been a fan of Josh Doig. I mean, I have. I remember when he was at Hibs, I thought Rangers really should be looking into him, and he was really kind of strongly tipped for us. We were all discussing him. But your opinion on him, Nicky? Does Yilmaz stay? Do we take what we got for him? If a bid's made that way, what's your opinion? Where do you think his future lies?
Well, I don't think it's any coincidence that his better performances come when he gets a run of games, right? He's been somewhat unfortunate with injuries. I think Gio and Beale have both seemed to prefer Borna Barisic. I said on the pod last week, I thought that Borna Barisic was Clement's favoured left back, but I probably stand corrected. I think Borna, I don't think was in the squad for the Old Firm, but I think Yilmaz is now playing. I think, listen, obviously the links come in from Verona. We've obviously seen Doig's there, and as football fans, we do this thing, don't we, where we just go, we'll just do an easy swap, right? Happy days, that's it done, as easy as that. But I think since then, there has been rumours that Doig will actually move within Italy. I think Torino are heavily linked with him now as well. So I think if it's Verona are going to give us money and we need to go searching for a left back, I don't think January is the right time to do it for probably a couple of reasons. One, January is notoriously difficult to deal with, but I would be very keen to see what Ridvan can do in the next 6 months or the second part of this season. I similarly do have some slight concerns. Yilmaz physically, I think Hearts and Shankland exploited it a wee bit in the 2-1 game at Ibrox. You know that the kind of Shankland header when he peeled off the back post. I think the profile of Scottish teams may look to take advantage of that, but I thought he was probably certainly one of our better players against Celtic. I think he had a lovely assist for Cantwell. I think even the McCausland goal, it starts at Ridvan. He recovers the ball. I think he starts to transition really quickly before Sima plays it to Dessers and through to McCausland. And listen, I think the fact you mentioned there about him coming inside, Borna Barisic honestly frustrates the life out of me, right? I'll take the ball, I'll put it 1 yard in front of me and I'll just hump it into the box 20 times a game, right? The law of averages will see somebody get ahead on it and get the odd assist, but the progressive play, the contribution that Yilmaz makes to attacking football, coming into the middle and not almost piggybacking Sima on the left-hand side like Barisic does. I think at the minute he signed for 4 or 5 million. I think he signed a 5-year deal, which would suggest we've still got about 3.5 left. I'd like to see what he does in the next 6 months, and then I think we make a decision in the summer if it's going to work or not, would be my view.
Yeah, solid view, mate, to be fair. Ali, I think Nicky makes a great point about Barisic. Barisic's maybe fitted into Rangers when we were playing a certain style under probably Gerrard. I think at that point it worked. I think will it come on? I think it's completely different really how Clement wants to approach the game, and what we've seen from Yilmaz on Tuesday was maybe what Clement is expecting, because Tavernier's already been doing that, but we're used to Tavernier doing that. It's what Tavernier's always been. He's always been this attacking wing back, gets himself into the middle of the park. But I even noticed on Tuesday there was at points Tav was pretty much centre mid, and I was like, oh right, okay, so you can see that they're taking turns of both of them coming through the middle. So maybe Yilmaz fits the bill more than Barisic does, but probably there isn't really an argument for that. I think either way now, Ali, that Yilmaz is probably nailing down the spot at left back. I know it's only been 2 performances, I get that, and there is still a bit for him to prove in terms of being able to stay consistently fit and put in consistent performances at the same time. But what's your opinion? Do you look to move him on if you get the money, but you keep the money back for him? Where do you think his future lies?
I think the three you should watch yourselves. So that Borna Barisic, by the way,
The Moth
is watching.
Yeah.
Brian's had the wrath of the Moth in last season, so I give Barisic a contract. But no, Barisic, all jokes aside, is one we should be moving on in the summer, along with Ryan Jack and Kilmarnock and all these other players. He's in that bracket. We move on. Yilmaz, he's not had a run in a team for me to really judge him. He's been in and out. Barisic pops back in because he was only one in the European squad, so he has to come in. So for me, you need to give Yilmaz a run. I agree with Nick. I'd give Yilmaz the left back slot to the end of the season. I'd give him it. Dog's a good player, 21 years of age. Yeah, I think he'd do a job. I'd like to see Yilmaz get it to the summer, and then we'll see then for me. The way he played against Kilmarnock, and he's done this a few times where he comes inside, Carney, and just carries a ball. And there was a one at Ibrox where he carried the ball and he kept going and going and going, and he put the ball in the back of the net, Carney. I'm trying to think who it was, but he scored an absolute nailer. He's done this a few times. And you're on about Tav coming inside, McCausland coming inside. It seems to be a part of play that Clermont's doing, and he looks like he fits that. Barisic doesn't really fit that. Barisic was good when he had Ryan Kent on the side and he would go either side and it kind of worked, but don't have Ryan Kent anymore. We're trying different. We've got Seamer that side now, so it's a bit different. So, no, I'd persist with Yilmaz at the moment, Carney. He's the last couple of games I've seen him, I've thought, no, there's something in you. I know what Ryan's harped on about him for God knows how long. It's basically Yilmaz's agent.
Ryan's got 3 tattoos of Yilmaz on his back.
I know. I might have to come back and then.
I get my haircut done at the Yilmaz's.
I've heard about that, Ryan, but we'll keep that between ourselves.
Yes.
But no, I might have to come back to Ryan at the end of the season and go, no, you were right with Yilmaz, because the way he's playing at the moment, Gary, he's starting to look like the player that we paid the money for me. Yeah. Defensively, he's not clever at times, but if you want a guy that can attack and defend, you're going to have to pay silly money. That's why Tav gets a lot of criticism. So, yeah, I like the look of Yilmaz at the moment, but I'll judge him in the summer as long as he gets a run. I would hate for him to get a few games and then Barisic gets put back in and then he's back on the bench again. I would hate that. And I'd assume, Carney, the last 16, Yilmaz can play in that, can't he? Because we can
be registered, I think, again, yeah. Because
so,
obviously we're into January as well, so you can register new signings.
Yeah, so for me, Yilmaz to the end of the season. I'm sorry, the Moth, if you're listening to us.
Lock your door tonight, mate. Pull your blinds down so he can't see you walking about your flat in case he's got a sniper. No, I would tend to agree. I think it was just the last 2 games is much more of what I've expected to see from him. And for me, yeah, I would be the same. I think we'd be quick to jump the gun now, I think, and it would be best to keep him here and see what we can get out of him for the last 6 months. But I think we'll see. We'll see what happens in the window. Just quickly, I'm going to do a question with a one-word answer. Alistair, okay? The rumour that we've seen today, and there's going to be plenty of rumours, right? I get that. Obviously, the one that we all know, well, Sam Lammers has been linked with Sunderland. Every single one of us here says, yes, on you go. See you later. I'll give you a lift if you want. But Scott McKenna, Ali, yes or no?
No.
Ryan?
Yes.
Oh, no, I didn't expect that. Nicky?
Nah, I think we can do better.
Yeah, 100% agree. It's just one of those rumours that I've seen today that I thought, I'll bring that up. For me, no. I think we can do better as well. I do think we can do better. I don't think he's needed. I don't think he's an improvement on Suter, so I don't see why we should be looking to bring him in. Anyway, for tonight, gentlemen, that'll do. Quite a quick hour tonight. There's a lot to get through. But Alistair, for tonight, thank you very much.
No problem. That was a good chat tonight. As I said before I come on the podcast tonight, I hope everyone has told their missus when they come in for work today that Rangers have rescheduled the game for Valentine's Day. So, I said that to my missus tonight and she wasn't very happy, but...
I wouldn't expect so. I wouldn't have expected so. I'll need to tell my missus when I go downstairs. Ryan, thanks very much.
Cheers, boys. Enjoyed that. Thanks to everybody. I think we missed it doing those statements and whatever, but there's quite a few new members there and a few people buying subscriptions as well and gifting them out. So just want to say thank you to all the new members and people that are buying memberships as well. It's very much appreciated. And also, I know you're going to plug it, but thanks to the lad who bought a ticket for the live show. Tell your mates and get them bought because we are very much looking forward to that 2 weeks this evening.
2 weeks this evening for sure. And Nicky, thank you very much, mate. What can we call him? Who's the most consistent player we have just now in the team?
Red Van Yilmaz.
Red Van Yilmaz, yeah. You've done a Red Van tonight, mate. Two consistent performances in a row.
No, listen, thanks for having us along. Another enjoyable pod. It'll be quiet, but we're in the midst of a transfer window, so I expect carnage with the rumours over the next few weeks. And listen, if Michael Beale is seriously going to take Lammers off us, then I will forgive everything Michael Beale has done to us as a club.
I echo that, mate. I echo that. Yeah, as soon as you seen it, I was like, brilliant, get rid of him, go. I was like, somebody book his train now, get him down there. But no, thank you everybody for tuning in. Ryan's correct. All the memberships that tonight. Thank you so much for that. It's very much appreciated. Yeah, and there is still tickets available 2 weeks tonight. We'll be live at the Loudon. We'll be just about to walk on stage as we speak. Exactly 2 weeks today. So please come along if you can spare £7. Come along and you'll see us on stage. Very much looking forward to that. Over the weekend, over the next week or so, we'll still be back. There's a few specials coming. There'll be a few club extras as well, so keep your eyes peeled on the channel. There'll be something over the weekend and into the start of next week as well. And of course, we'll be back here next Friday with Club Live no matter what. So enjoy your weekend, everybody. Until we speak to you again, we are Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. Cheers, everybody.